Time to get the second race underway. Jackson versus Bailey, take two. It's going to be a frenetic race. There was a threat of rain coming into this one. It looks as though that's going to not materialise. So great race action as they go round on the green flag lap. Straight over to Andy McEwan for the green.
Thank you very much, Jake. Yep, cars lining up on the grid now ahead of race number 2 of the weekend. Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey start on row 1 because this grid is formed based on the way they finished the first race. So Sam Bailey and Richard Breland are on row 2 ahead of Jeremy Crook and Simon Fleet, then Patrick Collins and Simon Orange. Matt Pitford and Simon Woods round out the top 10 ahead of Ray Worley, then Russ Lindsay and George Grant, who tangled towards the end of race 1. Some scores to settle maybe. Then Jim Hart, Liz Walton and James Kell, who was a non-finisher from race 1. I fear actually James Kell may even be a non-starter for this one. At least he's not out there on the grid by the looks of it. The lights are out though, we are away and racing. I can actually see James Kell's car in the pit lane. Ray Worley, oh, what happened there? Drivers hitting the brakes as they accelerated up towards turn 1. Patrick Collins was one, Ray Worley another one. So someone must have, there must have been some contact or something in the middle of the pack, and several drivers had to slam on the brakes to avoid it, but that has really shuffled the pack in the middle of the grid. So we'll try and piece this all together as they make their way through the infield for the first time. At the head of the field, it's Jackson from Bailey from Breland, the top 3. So Sam Bailey is down to 4th ahead of Simon Fleet 5th. There's Russ Lindsay, but Patrick Collins, one of the real losers there. Remember, Patrick finished the first race in 7th, but he's a bit further down the order than that now. But vice versa, of course, it's allowed a few other drivers who struggled in race 1 to gain a few positions. So already a more frenetic start to race 2 than we had in race 1. Side by side for the race lead, as well as Jake Bailey is already forcing Josh Jackson to defend as he tries to go right round the outside of Agostini. He's always going to get shown the edge of the road on the exit though, and so Josh Jackson hangs on to the race lead, and that will bring Richard Breland ever closer onto their tail. Simon Woods here we're on board with. Looking back at Simon Orange, it's strange in this series, isn't it? All of the Simons seem to find themselves together. Simon Fleet probably isn't far away from all of this. George Grant and Patrick Collins, the 2 cars behind Simon Orange, and in fact George Grant tried to go to the outside there into the right-hander at Oggies. That didn't work, and then he had to get back into line quick sharp before Patrick Collins was able to take advantage. Matt Pickford and Ray Worley, the 2 cars next in line behind them, as they sweep down onto the Bentley straight for the first time. Patrick Collins in the slipstream. Look there, you can really see visibly the effect that that toe has as he closes on George Grant, but Grant is also closing on Simon Orange, and they're going to go 3 abreast here down towards the left-hander at Brundle, sorry, and Patrick Collins sensibly backs out of it. George Grant doesn't though, and he will trade a bit of paint with Simon Orange, who's all over the place into the right-hander, and it could well be that Patrick Collins benefits from all of this anyway, because if these two take each other off, Collins it will be who gains the ground, but actually he's got Matt Pickford up the inside. What racing we're being treated to in here at the start of race number 2, as we have a change of lead. Jake Bailey has got himself ahead of Josh Jackson, so it is all going on here on this opening lap. Jake Bailey it is though who will lead the field across the start-finish line for the first time of asking in this one. Josh Jackson 2nd and Richard Breland in 3rd. Well, deep breath everyone, that's only 1 lap, and we've got another 20-minute race on its way, so we're expecting about 9 laps of action that we should be able to fit in as they rush down towards Rich's corner once again. Richard Breland is now becoming the danger man for the early pace setter this year, Josh Jackson, as they make their way out towards Wilson. On board here with Patrick Collins again. We're getting some great onboard footage from him this weekend. But at the front of the field, I would say that Jake Bailey is actually starting to escape here from Jackson. Jackson falling ever further into the clutches of Breland, and as he has to defend, not only does that allow this man, Jake Bailey, to pull a bit of a lead, but it allows Sam Bailey, Jake's father, to close in 4th. So we had, actually for the first time this year, both of the Baileys on the podium together in race 1, didn't we? Because Jake was 2nd and Sam was 3rd. Well, it would be brilliant if we could get them both on the podium again. And oh no! Jake Bailey, what was I saying? Jake Bailey has thrown it all away down at Agostini. He's off a long way onto the grass, almost into the tyre wall, which takes some doing with the amount of runoff area in that part of the circuit. But Jake Bailey has thrown it all away from the race lead, and all of a sudden he's right down towards the back of the field. Well, Josh Jackson will be grinning like a Cheshire cat, I'm sure, underneath that race helmet, because he has now re-inherited the race lead. We're on board with Matt Pickford here, looking back at Ray Worley and then Jake Bailey, so that's how far back he's fallen. He's just in behind Ray Worley with Russ Lindsay and Jim Hart, I think, the next 2 cars in line, but then everyone behind that has been delayed themselves with early dramas. But, well, Josh Jackson will be kicking himself at the wheel of the number 14 car as he rushes down the Bentley straight. He immediately gets back on the attack, though, up the inside of Ray Worley. So that should be a fairly easy move made on the way in towards Brundle. He had the slipstream, he has the inside line, and I don't think Ray will fight that too hard. No, he doesn't. Just in front of them, Patrick Collins and George Grant are dicing away, just in behind Simon Orange, but the whole field pretty close together here still. Pickford goes up the inside, Bailey now goes up the inside of Pickford into the bomb hole, so that's 2 places gained, regained for Bailey. But he has really made a big mistake here that is going to cost him surely any chance of a race victory. The question is, how much further up the order can he get? Is a top 5 still on the cards? Probably. Is a top 3 still on the cards? That maybe is a bit more doubtful. Back across the line they come. It is a very frenetic battle, this one. George Grant now at the mercy of fired up Jake Bailey. The red mist well and truly descending, I think, inside that car. There, the Clapham North liveried car of George Grant has to concede the position, but that's probably sensible. I think anybody who has any ideas of getting in the way of Jake Bailey in this race may well come to regret that. He's already onto the tail of Patrick Collins, so it's going to be a fascinating race now, watching him pick his way back through the order, but he shouldn't really be doing it in the first place. He'll be really livid with himself for making the mistake. It's fair to say, though, that at the head of the field, Richard Breland is not letting Josh Jackson have this all his own way, so we could yet have a fight for the race lead. Sam Bailey is now back on the podium, Simon Fleet in 4th, and 5th place for Jeremy Crook. Then it's 6th place Simon Woods, 7th Simon Orange, and 8th now Jake Bailey, because he continues to carve his way through the field like the proverbial hot knife through butter as he gets past Patrick Collins now, and now makes his way up in towards the left-hander at Hamilton. You can see him streaking away from Patrick, who's having to defend busily now from George Grant. Through the left at Hamilton's, through the right at Oggies, and George never shy, never backs out of a move, does he? Ahead of us, though, we can see Jake Bailey is already up the inside of Simon Orange. It's been a remarkable fight back this already, so I think the prediction of a top 5 is looking a bit more certain. What about a podium finish? Could that still happen if he can get into clean air once he's cleared this group? We'll watch his lap times with interest. You can see there's a big gap, isn't it, to the top 5 runners. If he gets past Simon Orange, that would be 6th. Then he's got some work to do to gain any more places. Remember, we're already inching towards half-race distance now. Into the right-hander at Nelson. Goes George Grant there, in behind Patrick Collins. And George Grant, we don't know what happened between him and Russ Lindsay in race 1. We didn't quite catch the start of that. It was up at this corner at Coram where they tangled, which is where Jake Bailey is looking anxious to try and find a way back ahead of Simon Woods. He couldn't do it there, but you can bet any money that he'll have a look at the inside into Murray's. That's why Simon would defend, but then skates out a bit wide, and in the end makes it all quite easy for Jake Bailey, because he runs out wide over the AstroTurf, loses further traction and momentum onto the pit straight. Bailey will go through, and it is possible that Simon Orange might be able to follow him through, although it looks like Simon Woods has been able to get back into the slipstream, so he might just be able to avoid losing 2 positions here. But now Jake Bailey is in clean air. We'll watch with interest to see whether he's able to close in on the next group of cars. There's the 999 car of Patrick Collins, excuse me, the Touch Associates liveried car. Back through Wilson. There is Simon Orange, so we've seen a lot of Simon Orange, haven't we, so far this weekend. He's been in the thick of the battles, which is good to see. As I mentioned in race 1, no points on offer, so you may as well go out there and have some fun and enjoy some good racing with some like-minded Mazda MX-5 enthusiasts. Look, already Jake Bailey is starting to pull away from the group behind, who themselves are staying fairly well bunched up though, so we are still in for some good battling up and down the order, I think, and I wouldn't bet against Jake Bailey being able to bridge the gap to the top 5 runners. With Patrick Collins here as he flicks into the left-hander at Hamilton's. Just in front of him, the 2 black and orange car, the 2 Simons, Simon Woods and Simon Orange, are running within inches of each other around the circuit into this long right-hander at Williams. Again, easy to understeer out wide over the curbs and onto the grass, and if you do that, you will start incurring time penalties for exceeding the track limits, as happened in race number 1 to Simon Orange, in fact, who was given a 5-second penalty. So although Simon finished, I believe it was 6th on the road with a 5-second penalty. He was demoted to 7th, and so Patrick Collins was able to gain a position at his expense. It's actually Patrick who's in behind him again now, and they're all, I think, getting slightly bottled up here by Simon Woods. But Simon, who was only 10th in race 1, he was one of those that I think benefited from all of the shenanigans on the way down towards the first corner at the start of the race, and he really gained some ground, and now he's having to work overtime to hold on to it. Look, because Simon Orange is looking to the outside at Coram, that's to try and get the inside into Murray's. It's very hard to do there. You're braking on a turn there, and then you've got to flick it back the opposite direction into the left-hander at Murray's, and it's so easy to lock up a front or a rear brake and send yourself straight off the road, as we've seen on a few occasions already in the racing this weekend. Back across the line though, Woods, Orange, Collins, Grant, quicker than you can say it, streak across the start-finish line. It's Collins that ducks out of line first to the outside line into the first corner. Simon Woods is sideways again as he turns into Riches, but actually he got sideways right in front of Simon Orange, so I'm not convinced that Simon was able to take advantage. In fact, I think Simon probably had to lift out of the accelerator there, which is why Patrick Collins has now been able to move himself alongside. It's the outside line though into Wilson, and he tries now to find room on the inside in towards Palmer's. I don't think he's quite going to be able to do it. It's a little look at the inside, but no, had to back out of that, otherwise there was going to be some contact. So they both live to fight another day. Well, all 4 of these cars very close together indeed, but again the slipstream starts to take effect on the run down towards Agostini, and so Simon Orange closes back in, and that's a really late lunge up the inside. Can he get the car stopped? Yes he can, and this could open the floodgates, because look, Patrick Collins is now at the inside of Simon Woods, and George Grant, you can bet he'll join in as well if there's room. So Collins has gone through. Has George Grant been able to complete the manoeuvre, I wonder? Into the left-hander at Hamilton's, looking in on mirrors. I saw a flash of white, but I couldn't tell whether Grant had got ahead of Simon Woods or not. Yes, he has, looked. So we've got the white and red car next in line. So Simon Woods, unfortunately, loses 3 positions in one fell swoop. But he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't there, because if he'd have defended more heavily into Agostini, then you'd imagine that Patrick Collins would have just taken a nice wide line into the corner and then carried much more speed off the turn. Sorry, Simon Orange was, of course, who made the move stick initially. That's what would have happened if Simon Woods had defended. So he didn't defend, so as to try not to lose momentum through the corner, but that meant that he left the door wide open. So whatever you do into that corner, you're almost guaranteed to lose out in some ways. Simon Orange pushing hard now to try and build the gap. We saw some hand gesticulation there from Patrick Collins on the run down the Bentley straight. He was waving, I think, to George Grant behind him, saying, don't try and overtake me, work with me, and then maybe we can have a go at ganging up on Simon Orange in front, or maybe if the whole group work together, they might be able to catch up to the next car in front. And this is all about the slipstreaming again. If you start running side by side, you're not getting the benefit of that slipstream, but if you get a group of cars to run very closely together, nose to tail, then such is the strange way that the aerodynamics work, it will actually push all of the cars along that little bit quicker in a straight line, even the car at the front of the queue. In fact, it's not uncommon, particularly here at Snetterton with its long straights, to see cars quite literally locking bumpers down the straights and bump drafting their way around the track. There are the leaders though. Richard Breland still keeping Josh Jackson honest at the front of the field in the Blink Motorsport car. Richard Breland doing a good job actually. These two have really checked out from Sam Bailey, who appears to be third. It's actually developing into quite a nice 3-way fight for third place, isn't it? Sam Bailey having to do a little bit of defending to keep Jeremy Crook and Simon Fleet at bay, but there's no sign yet of Jake Bailey closing in on a top 5 finish, so perhaps my early race prediction of him breaking into the top 5 was a little premature. There is Jake, you see in the background, the blue-white car that was just turning briefly into shot. This, though, is for third place, and it's Jeremy Crook actually ahead of Sam Bailey. The two cars at a distance are difficult to tell apart. Of course, it's entirely possible they've changed positions since I last saw them, because these two are running very close together indeed, and around Snetterton, most corners are overtaking opportunities. And so even if Sam Bailey can make this move stick on Jeremy Crook, there's no guarantee he'll stay in front. They've just got a little gap over Simon Fleet. Simon will be hoping that he sees these two really start to trip each other up over the next lap or so, and then he may well be able to close back in. Down the Bentley straight they go. Leaders turn into Brundle and Nelson yet again. We're into the final quarter of the race though. And Richard Breland, for my money, is actually looking a little bit quicker on this lap. He's closing back in on Josh Jackson. Again, the slipstream down the back of the straight will have helped, although he will have only got a small slipstream because he's not right onto the rear bumper of the race leader's car. Through Coram into Murray's and Richard Breland, who was twice a third place finisher at Brands Hatch. so he's already on for his 3rd podium finish of the year, but he would very much like to go a couple better and take the race victory. It's already on for his season best result, though, if he can hang on to this place. Here's his 3rd place battle, and it is still Jeremy Crook ahead of Simon Orange and Simon Fleet, but Jake Bailey, he's getting there, isn't he? He is closing in on the group in front. Black and white warning flag being shown to somebody, not quite sure who, but that again will presumably be for exceeding the track limits, as Jeremy Crook and Sam Bailey. Well, if these two really start falling over each other, that's going to further aid the cause of Jake Bailey, who we saw flashing through in the background there. Oh, they all run wide. Look how no one making friends with the apex there down at Wilson, as they were all, I think, using each other as a braking reference, and when one car outbrakes themselves, the whole group does. So these 3 cars now very close together, but how much closer is Jake Bailey going to be able to get over the last couple of laps? Back through Palmer's into Agostini, and if we see a defensive line taken here by Jeremy Crook, that will further delay this group. He doesn't defend though, and so Sam Bailey launches one up the inside. That was very, very close, but it was nicely done from Sam, because he gives him the inside line for the next corner at Hamilton's as well. So side by side for 3rd place here, with Jeremy Crook on the outside, Sam Bailey on the inside, but no, Crook hangs on again, runs a bit wide though over the AstroTurf out of Hamilton's. That's okay, it just gives him a defensive line in towards the right-hander and Oggies, but the switchback manoeuvre is on here maybe for Sam Bailey to get up the inside into Williams. He carries more speed off the corner, he's looking to the inside line, there's an overlap, there's a change in position, because this time there's nothing Jeremy Crook can do, and Sam Bailey does go through, but look, exactly as I said, when they started swapping positions like that, it has held the whole group up, and Jake Bailey is back with them. So has he got time not only to get himself into the top 5, but possibly get himself back onto the podium, which you would never have guessed when we saw him spinning earlier on. Oh, problem for Sam Bailey though. Sam Bailey, having got to the front of the group, now falls right to the back of it, so there must be some sort of mechanical drama there, as his son Jake Bailey takes full advantage, drives past his father, and now gets himself up alongside Simon Fleet. He's on the outside into the bomb hole, but he turns in regardless. Beautiful stuff there from Jake Bailey. He's into the top 5. What about a podium? One more place to gain, and he will find his way into 3rd position, and it will be a remarkable fight back, given the way that his race started when he spun out from the race lead. Sam Bailey appears now to have found some speed, so either it was a missed gear down the pit straight, which is possible, or maybe he saw his son coming along and decided, do you know what, I'm not going to make life difficult for him, I'm going to just wave him on through and make his life a bit easier. We're on to the final lap of the race now, incidentally, so we have 1 lap left to try and get Jake Bailey onto the podium, 1 lap left for Simon Bailey, for Sam Bailey, excuse me, to try and get back into the top 5, which he does with that move that he just made on Simon Fleet into Riches. This is Matt Pickford, meanwhile, with Ray Worley closing in the slipstream as well across the start finish line. Thought about going to the inside, then decided the outside was the only option that would become available to him. But as we rejoin them again through the corner, well, some strange lines being taken there, and actually Russ Lindsay is the one who's going to be able to close in, but Russ will not want a repeat of his last lap contact that he had with George Grant in race 1, so how aggressive he'll be on the last lap, I'm not too sure. Oh, as we're side by side for 3rd place, Jake Bailey up the inside here in towards Agostini, and you would imagine he'll be able to make this one stick. Jake Bailey runs a bit deep into the corner. That was cheeky stuff there, just to try and stop Jeremy Crook from getting the switch back on him, and so Jake Bailey, remarkably, having fallen outside the top 10 with an early spin, is now back onto the podium. At the head of the field though, it is a double race victory for Josh Jackson. Richard Breland kept him honest in 2nd place, and Jake Bailey recovers to a remarkable 3rd. Jeremy Crook is 4th ahead of Simon Fleet 5th. Sam Bailey dropped to 6th late on ahead of Patrick Collins, Simon Orange, George Grant and Simon Woods. Then Ray Worley, Matt Pickford, Russ Lindsay, Jim Hart. James Kell was 15th, so he did get out there, and Liz Walton wasn't quite a lap down, but she is down in 16th place.
Josh Jackson, another fantastic day at the office and another brilliant win. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, no, it's going well. Got a better start this time, so made sure of that. And then Jake got in front of me. I think he had a little issue with the brakes and managed to go straight on. So then after that, it was just trying to control the race, but we seem to be struggling a little bit. So I'll have a look at the car and see what we can do for race 3.
Well, Richard, 2nd in the overall rankings, Masters winner as well, but it was quite hectic out there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, I got a really good start, and then I was following Jake and Josh, and unfortunately Jake, who's my teammate, he went off. So it just left me and Josh, really, and I got my head down and I tried to chase him down, but I mean, Josh is quick. So, but yeah, hopefully for the last race we'll get up there again.